Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to present a discussion on free will and determinism, a theistic perspective. And this blog post is from a conversation that I had with ChatGPT. So this writing is all ChatGPT. So I'll be reading some of it and interposing some of my own ideas or comments, and also mention that these images were also created by ChatGPT. So I'll comment a little bit on some of them. Okay, free will and determinism. The determinism of physical processes. In a world governed solely by physical processes, determinism is a compelling framework. It posits that every event or action is caused by preceding events in accordance with the laws of nature. Within this paradigm, the idea of agent causation, that is the notion that agents can initiate actions, is often scrutinized. If agent causation is merely another cog within the physical machinery, it too follows under the dominion of determinism. So the idea here is that in order to deal with the argument that if physical processes determine everything that happens, especially that happens within the human brain, that leads to the argument that since every event has a cause, if all the causes are physical, then free will would be illusionary, because what's actually happening are simply physical processes in the brain. So one way of dealing with this is to try to separate physical causation from agent causation. And the point that's being made here is that if there's only physical processes involved, then agent causation will also be a physical process. And that is a strong argument to have to deal with. All right, so moving on. The necessity of non-physical causes for libertarian free will. Libertarian free will argues for the existence of free will that is not totally determined by prior causes. For libertarian free will to be true, the existence of non-physical causes is implied. Aspects of our consciousness or decision-making processes that do not stem from physical causation alone. And this principle is widely accepted, even among people that are not theists, that don't believe in God. There is an argument made that not everything can be explained by physical processes, because if everything can be explained by physical processes, and agent causation can also be explained by physical processes. Okay, and a brief comment on this image. I thought this was kind of interesting, was that ChatGPT's idea here was that the shining light within the brain is a metaphor for something beyond merely physical processes. Okay, moving on. And here I'll comment on this image too, where this is ChatGPT's idea to illustrate the divine bridging across to the human. Okay, the role of the supernatural and theistic belief. Incorporating the supernatural into discussions of free will opens new avenues for understanding human agencies. For those who believe in God, the supernatural is not only plausible, but an integral aspect of reality. So the point here is that given that non-physical explanations are implied, in order for libertarian free will to be a thing, for those who believe in God already, there's a ready-made avenue for introducing non-physical or supernatural, beyond physical processes. Okay, imago Dei and the gift of free will. The concept of imago Dei, or being made in the image of God, is pivotal in theological discussions of free will. Genesis 1:26-27 provides a framework, and theologians such as Alvin Plantinga have done work with this idea. And here we have an image of God, man being made in the image of God. And the idea here is simply that one of the key elements of being made in the image of God is being endowed with the power of moral responsibility and libertarian free will. The interplay of divine love and human agency. Humans, in bearing God's image, are granted the freedom to forge a relationship with the divine, a relationship based on voluntary choice rather than compulsion. This dynamic interaction suggests that human decisions carry weight and significance. The Imago Dei encompasses the full spectrum of human agency, including the ability to love, reason, and make moral choices. So the idea here is that the capacity to love, as God desires us to be able to love and to experience love, implies the existence of libertarian free will, of moral responsibility, of the ability to make choices. Okay, a brief comment on this image here. So ChatGPT's idea with this image was to illustrate the interplay between the divine and the human. And I thought it was kind of interesting because to me, this kind of brought about the image of puppetry, where it looks like God is in control of everything and kind of using human beings as puppets. But actually, the idea is that human beings and God are jointly working to create a tapestry. Okay, divine love, creation, and moral responsibility. And this is repeating the point that I just made, which is that the ability to love and to be loved in the image of God, as God is love, implies the existence of moral responsibility, the ability to make free choices. And the conclusion is making the same point. So I hope that you found this an interesting presentation on the concept of libertarian free will and a defense against the argument of determinism, which is to reframe the argument or recapitulate the argument quickly, would be that if there are only physical processes, then the argument for determinism is a strong argument. And a way to deal with this argument is to accept the implication for processes that are not only physical. And for those who are theists, there's a ready-made explanation for this. Since God himself is supernatural, he is privy to supernatural processes, and it's not a stretch that human beings made in his image would also be endowed with powers that are not only physical, and especially the will. And the idea here, or an idea here that I have in mind, that actually was spurred on this discussion, is that the will comes from the brain, and the brain is something physical. But it's often been discussed, the idea that the mind, or sometimes the soul as is used, is not just physical. And the will also falls in this realm, that even though the will exists physically within the brain, it has powers that are beyond the brain. And that idea was what spurred on this talk on how determinism implying non-physical processes can lend itself readily to a theistic explanation. And for anyone watching this that has a background in this topic, that's familiar with the same sort of theistic argument that I've just now made, I'd invite you to help me reference previous works that have been done along this line, because I'm sure that this argument that I presented was, original to myself, but I'm positive that this same sort of argument has been made, many times in the past. And so if anyone's familiar with works that deal with this, I'd appreciate your mentioning it in the comments. And thank you for watching, and until next time.